Hello, friends. Today's topic is fighting inflation. Let's rant.
Can someone please tell me how we are surviving in this economy? Because I am unsure. I went to the grocery store today and I'm just going to read you some of the items. I didn't go in for a lot. I didn't have a huge list. I needed rolls and some lunch meat for my husband. I got some yogurt, some milk, bread, 2 loaves. I got some cheese, some breakfast bars, and raspberries. Do you want to know what my bill was? $108.31. $108 for not that many things. Listen, I do not live, I'm a stay-at-home mom. I work per diem. I work at the hospital a couple days a week, and I make a decent hourly wage when I do work. And my husband does not work a minimum wage job whatsoever. He works for a law firm. He's director of marketing. But I don't understand how people who are living on minimum wage, what are you doing? $108. This was not even my grocery trip for the week. This was literally my quick, I need to grab some bread so I can make some sandwiches, and I need some milk, and I'm just going to grab a few things. What are we doing?
Now, I do believe that we are about to enter the worst recession that the United States has ever seen. Now, we've all heard the expression that what goes up must eventually come down. So let me repeat that. What goes up must come down. Now, here are a few tips that I'm going to share with you that I think we can all follow to help prepare for any economic downturn, which I do believe is coming very, very soon. Now, first, I would recommend doing your best to set aside between 3 and 6 months of living expenses. Now, I know that's very, very difficult, especially with the high cost of inflation lately. Money has been very tight at our house, but we are doing everything we can to put aside what we can. Now, next, I would recommend stocking up on food and water. And when I say food, I'm referring to non-perishables, canned goods like tuna fish, any type of canned food, preserves, and then water. The water that we've been buying would be the large jugs that you can buy from Sam's or Costco. We're just putting it all in the basement in a cool and a dry spot. Next, I would recommend trying to cut expenses where you can. Again, I know this is very difficult to do with inflation being so high, but I think there's all ways that we can all cut expenses. That would include eating out, buying things like electronics that rapidly depreciate, things that we don't need, like a new iPhone. You get my point. Next, I would recommend trying to start a side hustle. Now, everyone has a smartphone. And I think that with a smartphone, we all possess the capability to create some type of small source of revenue or small revenue stream in addition to our day job. For example, one of my hobbies has always been resale. That's a great side hustle to get into. It costs very little to start. And again, it started as a hobby for me, but I absolutely love it. So if you're looking for ideas for a side gig, look into resale. So I hope these tips helped. I want to wish everyone good luck, and I hope you have a great rest of your weekend. Thanks for watching.
The best way to beat inflation is to build more homes. Really love this Bloomberg article about Minneapolis. In May, they achieved this coveted 1.8% inflation, and it's mainly because they built more housing. To caveat, they've also had virtually no population growth, which does help stabilize prices, but they've also eliminated zoning that allowed for only single-family homes and have invested $320 million for rental assistance and subsidies over the past 5 years for their residents. So Minneapolis residents only spend about 40% of their income on rent, which is still pretty high. It should be around 1/3, but they have a really low misery rate, and they're not spending all their money on housing. And housing isn't skyrocketing in price, and housing is a huge part of the inflation metric that we calculate. Minneapolis also has a low misery rate driven by low inflation, a low jobless rate, with only Houston posting lower inflation as according to this Bloomberg chart. So that's good. Just build more housing and give people access to said housing. And the thing is, if people feel safe within their housing, they can go and get a job. It's this really virtuous cycle of growth, and sometimes it really is that simple.
Finding a way to cut back on spending is one key thing that you can do to fight inflation.
California's getting out of hand, okay? I get sunshine tax, it's a beautiful place, you pay a little more, yeah. It's getting ridiculous. Okay, is anyone ready to just, okay? Because I think I'm leaving. As someone who moved out of state for a little bit to try out other states, like once you see how much less everything is everywhere else, and it's still beautiful states, beautiful places, it's just getting a little tough to justify, okay? For context, when I lived in Idaho, granted I had a different car, but you could register your car for 2 years. 2 years for like $100, $120. One of my best friends called me the other day. She just registered her car in Nevada. $70. Okay, so I registered my car yesterday. $700. $700. And then they tell me that my insurance is being not just increased a little, doubled. More than doubled. It's a little over double because I drive so much, because the odometer on Teslas just gets uploaded and they can see how much you've driven. But I have no accidents, no speeding tickets, no parking tickets, nothing. My record is clean. Doesn't matter. They're more than doubling it. And then I swear every other day there's like a new fee that we're paying on our utility bills, or like rent just gets outrageously increased every year. Yes, it's pretty here. Yes, it's cool. But guess what? Other states have beaches too. And other states are beautiful too. And this is getting out of hand. Okay, so
right now we have a major inflation crisis going on. And the government has spent the past few months telling us that they're trying to figure out how to solve it. Like it's really that complicated. Seriously, I can solve inflation in about 5 seconds. Now listen up, because the powers that be are never going to tell you this. But ironically, the way we combat inflation is by employing the same strategy as they told us would cure COVID. Seriously, if we really want to flatten the inflation curve, all we have to do is stay home. For real, go get all your gas, all your necessities, only go to and from work, and stay home. Don't spend any money. Because see, that's the problem. We all spend way too much money. It's crazy. And look, my family and I, we're as guilty of it as anybody. Every day it's $100 here, $200 there, $500 there. One son needs a new Fortnite skin. The other son needs a new Ryan's Toy Review egg. It's insane. And look, they're going to keep raising the prices until we stop spending. And the crazy part about it is the prices keep going up and we don't even give a shit. We just keep spending. And until we stop, they're going to keep gouging the hell out of us. And look, honestly, you don't have to leave the house to spend money. For real, like Facebook is retargeting you like every 5 seconds. But look, is that Green Bay Packers oven mitt really that important? I mean, look, I know those Baby Yoda boxer shorts are really tempting. But right now, the force is not with us. Okay? We're going to have to start living below our means, and we're all going to have to just bear down, bite the bullet, and stop spending. And when we do, we will see just how fast those prices start dropping.
There's only one way to beat inflation, and I'm going to tell you how. But first, what is inflation? How does it work? Why are we seeing it so much in the news right now? Why does everything seem to be getting more expensive? Without getting into the causes of inflation, that has to be a whole other video. Let's talk about exactly what inflation means, because it can be pretty confusing. So inflation is actually the purchasing value of a dollar going down. So it's not that everything costs more money. That is a cause of inflation, but it's not inflation itself. Inflation just means that this dollar, which used to be able to buy me $1 worth of goods, is now actually only able to buy me a proportion less. So what does that mean? Well, let's use this example. If I bought a house, and let's say I bought a house for this dollar, wouldn't that be nice? What that means is that house is fundamentally worth $1 because I can exchange $1 for that asset. What happens when inflation drops the value of this dollar down to 50 cents? Well, I still have $1, but now it's going to take me $2 to purchase that house. So what happens if I own the house? Well, when inflation is really bad, you want to own assets. You want to own things like stocks. You want to own things like real estate, even commodities, even though that's a little bit more risky. If you own these assets, what happens is when the dollar is now only worth 50 cents, it's going to take you $2 to buy the same asset that used to cost you $1. So if you own the asset, now that asset, in this case, that house, is worth $2. So with inflation going on right now, it's in our best interest to actually invest in things like real estate, stock market, anything that is considered an asset. People might even think about currency alternatives like gold or silver or other precious metals. And it's tricky to know what to do because we also see the stock market in a pretty bad place as of today. But you want to think about this long term. Inflation, in my opinion, is not going away in the near term. So you don't want to be holding on to cash. You have to invest it. So if you want to beat inflation, buy assets. Let me know in the comments if you guys have any questions surrounding this. I know it's super confusing, but I want to make sure everyone has the tools they need to be successful coming out of this crazy time that we're going into.
Stop buying things that you don't need, period. Cut back on your spending, and if you need to get a part-time job so you can save some money, then do it. This is one of the best ways to fight inflation. Best of luck out there, and until next video.